A floaty. Let's see here. How you doing?
What's up, man?
So, are you Christian?
No, I'm a former Christian.
Former Christian. So that makes you an atheist, or are you still a theist or spiritual?
I can consider myself more spiritual.
All right. So you don't? Do you believe in any gods?
No, I believe we are the co-creators of our own reality.
Okay. So I have so people who have your beliefs. My sister's actually one of them people.
Okay.
I call that woo woo.
Right.
If you don't know what woo is just non-scientific beliefs that are largely intuitive
Right.
and based on experience. I personally have nothing against people who have them beliefs, just because they tend not to go anywhere.
Right.
The only time that I really have issues with people who have woo beliefs are when they start to want to go down other paths of like flat Earth and other things like that. They interfere with science. But
Right.
did you have any questions or anything for me? You don't
Yeah, I
believe in a
got
God.
a.
I don't really have any any questions for you.
Let me see. I think I got a question. About religion. Like, I feel like, how do you feel like, as far as, I feel like it was designed to keep the weak oppressed.
Um, I don't know what you mean by keep the weak oppressed.
Like, because they
What do you mean
encourage,
by that?
like, if you think of Christianity, they encourage like slavery and stuff like that in the Bible, and it was telling you, like, it was talking about being servants and stuff like that. And they had slaves back in those like the Roman days and all that type of stuff, like back in the biblical days. So I
Yeah, we
feel
have lots
like,
of slaves now. We actually have more
right,
slaves now than we did in the past. But
right,
that's a side story. Yeah, I think that a lot of religion is a way of controlling the
right,
masses. But and I'm just speaking as religion. I'm not speaking towards any particular God here, because I don't believe in a God. But
right.
I think religions in general are a good way for non-educated societies to essentially control the behaviors of wide groups of people.
Right.
And there's a lot of influence between societies. So I don't think that like Christianity in particularly created slavery to oppress men. I think just slavery was happening at the time, and
Yeah,
as the religion was developing, they just incorporated the actions of the time into the religion. I don't think
exactly.
it was the other way around.
And it's like I was raised as a Christian, but it's like when you grow up, it's like you learn to question everything. And they tell you not to question things in the Bible and stuff, of like if you was raised as a Christian, they tell you, well, you can't question God and stuff. But I'm like, well, if you don't ask the questions, how you expect to get the answers? So I started questioning things, and I did my own research, and I realized that, first of all, Christianity wasn't even the first religion. It was Hinduism that was the first religion. So it makes you think like,
Well, Hinduism
dang,
wasn't the first religion. It was around before Christianity. There are several
right,
religions before Christianity.
right,
Hinduism was probably one of the first major religions that,
major religion, right,
um, yeah. But there was obviously like Christianity came from. There were other religions around. Well, Christianity come from Judaism, and that spawns from the other religions that happened in that particular era in the world.
right,
But there's the China had their own a whole bunch of other religions happening over there. So
right.
and even the idea of like a religion that helps to better society, as like Christian claims to do, like that was happening in the East way before Christianity, like with Buddhism and Jainism and all that kind of stuff. So
Right. And I be thinking like, my questions is like, why are everything, it's like, I feel like it's like everything is divided. Like nobody can't just agree on anything or try to come to terms or try to be more reasoning. Everybody's want to be so divided. But why we can't just
well,
focus on Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I think you're not going to get everyone to agree on anything for the
Right,
most part, just because of the nature of beliefs.
right.
Beliefs are involuntary. At least I hold this tradition that beliefs are involuntary.
That
You
means
can't really
everybody.
control. You can't really control what you believe. You're influenced by your environment, by your chemical makeup, and your time and place, and that kind of forms how you believe things.
Right,
And that since the world is so vast, communication that we see nowadays just wasn't happening as quickly back in the day, and so people were building these long-standing traditions, and then building out these mythos and belief systems, and then it's not until societies start to collide that you see these conflicts happening. So I think it's
right.
just these major philosophical and religious differences is just happening because there was just so much division happening in the past, and it's so relatively new that we can all talk to each other. I think
Right.
that in 1,000 years from now, we're probably going to have pretty much all similar ideals. There might be separations of religions and stuff, but I think it's going to be a lot way more secular than it is now or has ever been in the past.
I
So,
believe so too. Cause I'm like, I be thinking like, what I was about to say. Oh yeah, I be thinking like all that stuff. Like when it comes to like religious beliefs, notice how they always say beliefs. They never really say it's facts. They say beliefs. So all that stuff like myths to me.
well, we're talking about like metaphysical things here, like things
Right.
that can't be tested.
Right.
So all they can ever be is beliefs. We can try to do we could try to make questions and arguments that help to inform us, but we can't know what happened at the beginning of the universe. It's just an impossible thing. We can only speculate and then use kind of logic and our science and combination to try to figure out like what did happen. But
Right.
it's impossible to know for certain, which is
Exactly.
the question of hard solipsism. To know what you know is truth is just it's an impossible thing. I don't know.
Because they said
I'm not
before,
a
they said before religion existed, it started with the dinosaurs, and then after the dinosaurs, the first humans they say was like the Homo sapiens. Like that was the
well.
first evolution of humans.
I'm not I'm not a biologist, and I'm far from
Right.
a paleontologist. But so I don't know much about dinosaurs, and I don't know much about evolution. I do know there was a large span of time of separation between the two, so
Right.
I don't think that there's much relationship between dinosaurs and humanity.
Yeah, me either. They
And
say it was like 65 million years apart.
Yeah, it was a large amount of time. But I can't speak about early evolution of humans. Um, I just don't. I'm just not that that literate on the subject. So,
Right. I feel you. But yeah, man, like what made you not believe in the Christian God?
well, I grew up a Christian because I live in
Right.
America, and that's just typically, unless you have some kind of foreign recent ancestry that lives in your area, you're most likely going to be Christian.
Right.
And I was Christian, and my mom, I was single parent, and
Same.
she didn't really force me to go to church, but churches come around, and just they knock on your door, try to have a conversation with you, especially when you're a kid. You see a whole bunch of people going onto this church bus. You
Right.
want to know what's happening. You follow them, they let you on, and you go to children's service or whatever, right?
Right.
So you learn about Jesus, you learn about God, and you learn the fundamentals of Christianity, and now you're all of a sudden you're a Christian, and it
Right.
just kind of happens to you.
Right.
Wasn't really a choice. I wasn't really introduced to any other religions until I went seeking them personally. I didn't grow up in a neighborhood that had like mosques or any Jewish people or Hindu people or anything. It was pretty much, I lived in a low income area, so it's
Right.
pretty much black people
Okay.
and Hispanic people. And they're all God fearing people for the most part, you know.
Right.
So that's who I grew up with, and that's how I became a Christian, I guess. But when I started turning to a teenager, I just my mind processes in a very logical, systematic way,
Right.
and just the functions and how God was like the properties of God just didn't make sense to me.
Right.
So I was told about God's omnipotence, his omnipresence, like he knows everything, he's everywhere, he can do anything, and when you just think about this, you sit down and actually think about what that means. And as a kid, that's what I did because I didn't have a lot of friends. I was made fun of a lot when I was a kid.
Right.
And so, I would just sit down and I just think about this stuff. And it just like, if something's all knowing, then it knew that I would do this. It's all
Exactly.
powerful and it chose not to do that. And then I started thinking about prayer. I'm like, why do we pray? Like, it
I've been
doesn't
thinking that
make any
too.
sense because if we pray, then that means that God already knew I was going to pray.
Right.
And if he answers the prayer, that means God already knew he was going to answer the prayer. So did he really answer the prayer? Or is that just something that was going to happen anyways? I'm like, and you just go down this dialogue tree of like what it actually means. And you develop the system of questions.
Right.
And I didn't really know how to process or answer these questions. I just knew how to kind of think of the question, but I didn't really know how to get to the answer of it. And as I go into like early adulthood, I started to listen more to philosophy, not
Right.
really atheist philosophy. It's just like philosophy in general and just people talking about like these hard questions. And then that did lead me into like atheist philosophers.
Right.
And the Four Horsemen were kind of like the first introductory. So like Sam Harris and like that crowd of people.
Okay.
And they kind of got me to kind of understand a little bit more about what these questions were and what the entailments were. I was able to like build out these syllogistic arguments to kind of really question and like build a foundation of what I actually believe. Because most people don't actually know what they believe.
Right.
They
And they
know
go
that
off of
they
what they're
believe
taught.
this here.
Influence.
Yeah, they kind of have a belief here or they have a belief here, but they don't really have a foundation. Like they don't have something that they're building their whole system of thought and logic from. It's kind of just sporadic. Religion is really great at giving you like a super solid, well thought out foundation that you don't ever have to think about because so many people have already asked the questions and have figured out how to get around all the issues. And they have their apologists and they built it out. And religion just gives you that instant foundation. But when you take religion out of it, now you got to build your own foundation.
Right.
And you got to start from the bottom, And so that's what I had to do when I came out of Christianity. I had to kind of ask questions about like what was morals, what does it mean to be moral, questions about the universe. Do I actually know things? Is it even important to know certain questions?
Right.
Why do I need to ask these questions? And just things like that. I never went down. I did for a small period of time go down the woo-woo line when I was like probably 14, 15. I started doing the psychic witchcraft or like magical spell type stuff,
Right.
but that stuff didn't make sense to me either. I'm like,
It didn't either.
how can I say these magic words and do these magical things and then some magical thing happen? I know how physics works.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. So I pretty quickly fell out of the woo woo stuff. But
I'm not really into that either like that. I'm just more like I heard I'm just more into like, like fasting and stuff like that. Like, but I'm not into that, like the witchcraft type stuff.
yeah. A lot of people, I think that there's like a system that people go through on their deconversion. So a lot of people will start with religion, whatever it is. For if you live in America, most likely it'll be Christianity. You'll start to question that, and then you really don't want to not believe that there's not a God.
Right.
So instead of not believing that there's not a God, you start looking for other systems that have God-like qualities. And so a lot of people, they'll go to maybe Wicca, or they'll go to meditation, or
Right.
less deistic religions like Buddha, like Buddhists, and Jainism, or like Hinduism, if you
Right.
want to even expand your God belief even further. And then they'll see, they won't see results from them for that unless they have like self-confirming communities. So a lot of people will, like, once they leave Christianity or their belief, they'll join other communities that are also questioning, and they'll kind of support each other, and then they'll reaffirm this other spiritual belief.
Right.
And YouTube is great for that. Like, if you wanna believe anything, go to YouTube, and YouTube will tell you how much you're right. That's for certain. Doesn't matter
Right.
how wrong you are, YouTube will tell you how right you are. There's someone out there who believes what you believe and will tell you exactly what you want to hear. Um, but I just, and then eventually, like, that gets, people leave their religion, they go into a more spiritual type thing, and then they figure out that the spirituality isn't really doing anything for them either. It's just the same story with different words.
Right.
And then eventually they just start asking tougher and tougher questions until they either meet somebody who's an atheist, or they find other atheists, and then they kind of deconvert, completely. I think that's the typical process.
Right. Cause I be thinking, I be feeling like what I was about to say. I forgot what I was about to say. Damn. People try to make atheists seem like they're demonic, but they're not.
No, I think that stems from Christianity likes to tell people that if
You
you
going to
don't
hell.
believe what I believe, then you're in line with the devil. It doesn't matter
Right.
what you're saying, as long as you're not agreeing with me, you're in line with the devil, because there's Christianity has a very strong parallels. You got God, which is all the good stuff, and then Satan, which is all the bad stuff. And if you don't believe in God, then you have to be bad by default, because God is good. And if you don't believe in good, then you have to believe in bad. And
Right.
so, yeah, and then the Bible and these apologists kind of reaffirm this notion that everybody is an actual believer. Even people who don't believe are just denying their belief, but they actually in their heart do believe. And so everybody's an actual believer, but you're just suppressing the righteousness of God, And so they make up like ways of convincing themselves that you actually do believe in God. You're just rejecting God for some reason.
Right.
Christianity does that very well.
They do. They do. Cause I believe, man, you just come here to just live and die, honestly.
Yeah, the question of purpose is, I think it's very individual. I think purpose doesn't exist outside of the mind.
Right.
I think purpose comes from desires and the actuation of them desires.
Right.
I don't think that outside of the mind there's any significant purpose. Like I said, I'm a determinist. Things just do what things do, and that's pretty much it. I'm not going to say everything's causal, but I think everything at the large scale is causal. And it's a reaction to reactions to reactions, including the beliefs that you have. Your beliefs are reactions to experiences and thoughts that happened in the past. That's why I say beliefs are involuntary. Nobody chooses what they believe. It just happens to them.
Right. And I think we just exist just like humans. I mean, animals exist. Like they're here to do their part and we here to do our part. That's how I believe.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
we're
you have
obviously humans more
any more
advanced because we got
questions?
um
Anything you
yeah,
want to
heaven and
possibly debate
hell.
about?
like the heaven and hell ideology.
What do you mean by that?
Like they said the afterlife and stuff like that. What do you think about that?
I'm a I don't believe in experiences after death.
Right.
I'm not going to say that I'm a physicalist or a materialist, but people would probably call me that. I believe that your mind, and I use the word in quotation there, is just the process of your brain and the chemicals and interactions that are happening in there. And so everything that is you is that process. I don't think that once your brain stops, that there's something that's released from your body that allows you to perpetuate that existence any further.
Right.
I don't see any evidence of that. No one's ever came back to confirm that that's the case.
Exactly.
Even people who have died and then come back and reported their experience. All the testing of that seems to indicate that it's either made up or a confusion in the brain. You know, so. Yeah, I just don't believe that there is an afterlife. You're gone once you're dead, you know, like once you're completely dead, unrevivable.
Cause you think like if like what's the point of death if there's life? So it's like if you're living and then they say you die, you die. So
Yeah, I never got this. I never understood why anybody would want to live forever,
right,
especially in a non physical sense. It seems like it would be mundane. I think that when everybody, especially Christians, when they think about their afterlife, I think that all their thoughts are material. Like they think that they're going to be walking around doing these material things, interacting
right,
with material people. They think that their experience on earth is just going to be reflected in heaven, but in a more expansive and enjoyable way. But I think that they're equivocating on what it means to be immaterial.
right. And
Because
then they
all of their life is material. Every single thing that they've ever experienced has been material. To
wow,
die and transition into an immaterial heaven, everything would be immaterial. You don't know what that experience would ever be like.
exactly,
To me, I think that if I were to die and then transcend into some immaterial state, I just wouldn't be me. Like if you ask the question, "Who am I?" that question, and you try to truthfully answer that question, everything's going to come back to your experience. Your experience is all material.
wow,
So if you transition to another place of existence, I don't think that I that you talk of that's in the question, who am I? I don't think that I there has any meaning anymore.
exactly.
So I
So
don't even.
would you say that's like a form of reincarnation?
No, no. I think when people say that they're reincarnated, what they mean is that they're taking and redoing their experience in life to try to make it better or different than what they had. You're recycling
Right.
your soul. I don't think that when people say reincarnation that they're talking about what I'm talking about here now.
Right. Hey man, you very smart, man. Like you're a lot. I can.
Um,
It's like I can understand what you're saying, man. Like I like to listen to other people talk, like to see what their views points, because like I'd like to see what it is, to see what I can say, or to see what I can understand from it. And you making a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm sure there's much smarter people out there who are thinking that I'm just an idiot, but you know, I can only talk about my own experiences and what I think is true. So, you know, I don't know.
Wow, man. Well, I'm gonna get out of here, but I just followed you too, man.
Oh, I appreciate the follow, man. This is
Yeah.
my very first live. You're my second guest.
Okay.
Um, what I'm trying to do is build out the TikTok community
Right.
till I can get like a regular followership, and then kind of move on to YouTube or Twitch to try to build up the
Okay.
audience that
That's a good
way.
move. That's shoot. You already had a start, man.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I'm really trying to get some good debates in there. I
Right.
think debating will help strengthen my ability to communicate my understanding of the world and help me
Right.
really solidify my beliefs. And so I'm really excited about this. Really, I'm trying to get some good Christians in here. You know.
You're gonna have a lot of them in here eventually. Definitely.
Yeah, we'll get somebody eventually.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm about to get out of here, man. And I
All right.
appreciate you for
All
having
right,
me.
man. I appreciate you coming up.
Yes, sir. All right.
No problem, man.